We are going to start with Scott in Illinois. Scott, you're up with LGO.
Hey, good morning, LGO. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, Scott.
Right up here. I know there's a lot of squares. This is a popular day for you. One quick thing before my question. So I retired from the military last September, and I had about a year before I actually left the service to, make my decision and then certainly prepare. And funny thing, I don't remember what book. I was looking for some books that would kind of help me transition. And I don't know what I was typing in the Amazon search, but whatever I did, this was the first one.
Amazing.
And I tell you, that's the first book that I read in my transition journey. And I've probably bought 30 copies or more and given them away, because it has certainly helped me think through like all the maturations that's going on in my head as I'm changing careers and thinking about what I want to do when I grow up. I mean, that's kind of the phrases that you hear a lot of military vets go through, but it's a hard time. But this was helpful, and I hope that it was helpful to the men and women I sent it off to.
Oh, well, thank you, and thank you for your service.
No, thank you. It was a huge help. But one of the things that struck me in Limitless, and it's early on in the book, which I really didn't believe until I actually started journaling about it and keeping track of it. You talked about how people can get all out of sorts. I think you said all out of kilter. And we think it's because we're living such busy lives, when in fact, it's actually the transitions from one activity to another that are creating that stress. And I really pushed back on that in my own head. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think she's right here. And then I literally tracked it for 30 days, and I was shocked at how my emotions changed, running from one meeting to another, or one event to another, or, just going from one speaking engagement to another. And it was astonishing. Are we completely missing the boat on the transition piece and so focused on our busy lives? I mean, this seems like it's a huge problem.
Yeah, I think it is a huge problem. Before I answer that, I will say one of the fun things about Wonderhell that you'll like is that the book itself is yellow. So I stuck with the Limitless yellow. He'll enjoy that. Little Easter egg for the real Limitless fans. And thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Yes, I think. So what I talk about in Limitless is that we think we're exhausted because we're too busy, but we're actually exhausted from doing too much of what doesn't actually matter to us. And then the costume changes and the code shifting that we have to have in between. So if you're, I think the examples I give in the book are like, if you're a dentist and you're in like a candy making club, like the emotional energy that it takes to like be a different kind of person, right? If you're an oncologist who, enjoys going to a cigar club at night, like it's trying to be two different people in your lives. And so we talk about, oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm so busy, I just need work-life balance. But really what we need is work-life alignment, so that the values that we represent at work are the same values that we represent at home. So we're not sort of running between them. And so there's a chapter in Wonderhell where I talk about this, and it's the whack-a-mole game. That's the ride for Wonderhell, because I think a lot of times we say yes to everything that comes in, and then it just goes to whatever fits on our calendar. And there was a moment probably about 10 years ago, I was having lunch with a friend, and she was like, I was talking about being exhausted, and she was like, well, tell me what you do. Tell me what your schedule looks like. And so I talked about, the can I pick your brain calls. We all get those can I pick your brain calls. And I used to say, I'm going to schedule them for Monday at 9 a.m. Perfect. Terrific. I'll get them all out of the way in the morning. And she's like, okay, cool. What does the rest of your day look like? And then I was like, well, I'm the most creative in the morning. So I try to write from like 9 to noon. And then I have lunch meetings, and then I practice, keynote speeches and on and on. And she's like, well, wait, why are you doing those pick your brain calls then at 9 a.m., like first thing in the morning? And I realized in that moment that I was giving away my gold. And so, Scott, you talk about the sort of in-between times that you can track and you can figure it out. But in addition to that, it's figuring out what your perfect schedule looks like. So I talk about a friend of mine in the book, Clay A. Bear, who talks about the perfect calendar. And if, for example, your perfect calendar, like you are at your best, you're most creative from 9 to noon every day, that's when you should be scheduling your creative time. And if you then are ready for social, then you've got lunch meetings, and then you've got your, calls in the afternoon. So how do you block at least a couple of days each week so that your very best is called upon for the things that you need your very best for? Ken will tell you, he's, asked me to, to reach out, to have conversations, and I'm like, I'm happy to talk. I do those pick your brain calls now between 6 and 8 a.m. You can find me on my erg. You can find me on my treadmill. You can find me running the Harvard Stadium. I'm happy to walk and talk. Studies show that we're actually more creative when we're moving our bodies. So happy to have a conversation. I'll be exercising. You can be exercising if you want. But I've just started to put better boundaries around my time so that I'm not just racing from one thing to another, but I'm actually doing what I do best when I need to be doing that thing. And everything else sort of fits into places where that's the energy that I know I'm going to have in those days.
Yeah,
So
I think
smart.
what was helpful is we kind of took out the blocking technique where you're lining up meeting after meeting after meeting, and started throwing in just bits of time to either walk around the building, go get a fresh breath of air, whatever. And it was a game changer. So
yeah, and for you that works
Thank you.
amazingly. For some people, they want to be like, I want to go back to back to back and then have 2 hours of just chill, right? So everybody's different. And one of the things that I talk about in Wonderhell is that we have these ideas like the 5 a.m. club or miracle mornings, or whatever the thing is. Like I have a work wife. Her name is Rahaf Harfouche, and we talk every Tuesday at 8 a.m. because I'm a morning person. That's when I want to go get it. She lives in France, so it's the afternoon for her, and she's actually like an evening person. So for her, it's like the perfect timing. And she's like, screw the miracle morning. I want a miracle evening. Like that's when I'm most creative. So what I would say is, like, if the 15 minutes in between works for you, I think that's incredible, right? It'll get the blood flowing. It'll get you, you'll have some time to reflect on the meeting, to prepare for the next one. Or if you're somebody who likes to bang them out, you can do that too. But what works for you works for you.